150%, that government invested in housing competitive private companies vying to get control of bits and pieces of our NHS. I want to end the internal market in the National Health Service. I want us to invest in our National Health Service, but above all, I want to make sure that it remains there as a health service, free at the point of use, as a human right for everybody. You can't do that if at the same time you're actually allowing people to take huge profits out of it. There's another aspect to health, or two more really. One is the grotesque levels of health inequality that exist all over the country. You can take a bus ride across any major city anywhere in Britain. Glasgow, Edinburgh, Manchester, Birmingham, Newcastle, London, anywhere, and you can measure the life expectancy by the poverty levels or the wealth levels that exist in the suburbs, in the inner urban areas, in the centre of cities. That isn't right, that isn't normal, that isn't inevitable. So we need both a health service that can put the resources that are necessary into the areas of worst health care, worst health outcomes, but we also need a health service that recognises that the grotesque levels of underfunding of our mental health services must be addressed. And we have to address it both by spending, but also by our attitudes towards mental health and our attitudes towards people that go through mental health crises. Why do we allow this sort of jokey thing to happen about people that are going through a crisis? Why do we allow people to suffer in such appalling ways as they do? And I feel very strongly about this, feel very strongly that we have to change the attitude as well as ensure the services and facilities are there, particularly for young people, particularly for those with child mental health conditions, and particularly for students in college and university who often go through the most desperate periods of stress and sometimes end up in a very bad place. And we also, while we're on that subject, have to think about how our welfare system works. And we finally forced the DWP to reveal the figures of the number of people who are on benefits that have been sanctioned, that are on disability benefits that have been sanctioned, who died during that process, some of whom have taken their own lives. What kind of a society is it where we allow routine abuse to go on of anyone who is legitimately claiming a benefit, knowing full well the consequences of sanctions upon them, knowing full well the misery and the poverty that will be heaped on other people as a result of it, and knowing, and I've been through this experience with some of my constituents, the devastation they face when they're told they're fit for work when they're not, incapable of finding a job, lose all benefits, and some threaten or even commit suicide as a result of it. Can't we be strong enough, bold enough, proud enough, as a labour movement and a society to say, we will measure our progress, we will measure our success by reducing the number of people sleeping on our streets, reducing the number of people forced into destitution, and ending that horrible agenda which is saying that there's something weak about a society that cares for those that are in a bad place. Quite honestly, we could all be in a bad place. We're all an accident away from a bad place. We're all a stress away from a bad place. Cannot we have sufficient decency and humanity within ourselves to ensure that we have a proper welfare system? I prefer to call it social security system in our society.